up my faith because I was in an environment where I felt supported. I felt God in Vic and Carol's house. I felt as if he was saying to me, my son, say it, go ahead. So all it did was strengthen my faith while I shared my suffering.
I also think this was a good witnessing tool, because when I was able to talk to my brother about where is God when it hurts, he was like, yeah, I want to know that. And so I was right. So I think that it was something that helped.
Evangelistic tool to acknowledge the suffering, you know, instead of just saying, God did, you know, if they're a non-believer, and you're saying God delivers, they don't have a clue as to what that means.
I know that. I understand that. Yeah.
So, and which is a good segue to our next page, number 5.
Segue, baby. Segue.
We're going to get off that suffering, huh?
So it's because the question is, how does it compare to the approach of your non-believing friends and family? You know, you're at a funeral, and you know they think it's the end, right? No longer, and you're kind of you're sad. But you know you're going to see them again. There's hope.
And that's where faith comes in. Because, you know, like, you're suffering, like you say, and you know the word is in you, but you still going through these things. You know, it doesn't feel good. And you're human. And you do question it sometimes about what's going on, because you're human.
Right.
But because you believe in that word, you're able to maintain that countenance that you're talking about, that strength that you have, that keeps you from just really just falling apart. Thank you.
And chances are, if you're a non-believer, that struggle is going to drag you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to rise up out of it.
Absolutely. If you're not a non-believer.
Because if we have nothing, if we don't have something to hold on to know that we're going to be pulled out of it somehow, some way, then where are we going but down?
You have no place. You have nothing.
The best and the perfect reflection of Christ is through our suffering, and even to the non-believers, right? I mean, because, you know, we can expand on our conversation and our faith right here with this group, because we were around like-minded Christian folks, which is what God wants us to be, right? Because we edify each other, right? But in the world, we ought to show that example. And how else can you show your example of what suffering is if you don't give them the witness of how you endured it?
That's right.
That's what serving is. That's what we are to do. I mean, that's the parallel in the reflection of Christ walking on this earth to live and to die for us, and we're living and dying. And we can't stay in the circle of the church with just holding on to ourselves or what we know what faith is and what we know what suffering is. We ought to be that living testimony. That's what we're supposed to do.
That's what I believe.
Right.
When they say work out your faith, to me it means if you're sick or something's happened to you, act out your faith. Don't be nervous. Don't, like, I know my cousin brought me for an operation once, and I come from a very neurotic family. And as she's driving me there, she's like looking at me, she's going, how come you're so calm? I would be a nervous wreck, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it was like my third time I went. And I said, and I just thought about it, and I said, because I have faith. I know I'm going to come out of it, but, you know, and even though I had a lot of problems, but they see that in you.
Right.
And that's the witness
that's
of
the witness.
How you go through
everything. Yes, I absolutely agree.
Right.
That's working our faith.
Right.
It's showing everybody, look, I have faith through all this. It could look bad to you, but I know God's going to turn it to my good.
Someone could get to know who Christ is through you. I mean, that's our ministry work. I do it daily.
Now my sister suffered cancer 2 years ago, and my family, even though they profess to know the Lord, they love the Lord, they're saved, but they don't really like study the Word or understand it or whatever. And they thought, you know, and they're like Marilyn's family, a nervous wreck. And all through this, they kept saying, you know, what did they used to say that you? Oh, it was you got the cancer because God knew you can handle it. And at one point, I wanted to just, may God forgive me, punch them in the face, whatever. Okay? So what happened was I had to come to the point, because there was a point where I told the Lord, I said, Lord, I really wanted to be healed. But I actually, when I went to Carol's conference, I was going to say, you're going to go through it, but you'll be fine. I said, Lord, because I was afraid of going for chemo. I was afraid of losing my hair. I said, I don't know if I can handle it. And I knew that I couldn't handle it, and that the only way I could have handled it was through God. So I had to actually give and surrender it. And what happened is that I'm a school teacher, and I'm a special ed. And not only did it affect, because I used to go into work with smiling, with joy, with the, and they saw me. They saw me with hair, without hair. They saw me coming in sick, my kids and everything. So I know they know something, that it was God. And there were teachers that have come to me, my coworkers said, you had so much joy and peace. And I actually, because of, I got to say, thank God for the cancer, because it has made me bolder in my witness to the Lord. And I'm not ashamed, because that's what got me through with everything and everything. But with my sister, but then I came to the point, I said, you know what, Lord, really? I was the one to able to handle it, because you knew that I could trust you and have faith in you and lean on you and hold on to the end of your, I always thought about the garment, the lady with the bleeding. I always said myself like that, and that's how I was holding on to his thing, and that actually helped me, whatever. And to this day, I really don't have the fear like I used to have in my life, because nothing really, I don't really get afraid like I used to. I really have peace, because I figure after having cancer, what else is there? You know what I'm saying? So, praise God that I'm fine. Yeah.
Amen.
I'm going to share this one little anecdote about faith and about how I believe God works. I have allergies. I cough from my allergies every day. Several years ago, I went in a hospital to have a hernia repaired, and woke up from the hernia surgery with more pain than I ever knew in my life, because they found 3 additional hernias. So my entire, well, I didn't have a 6-pack, but 4 of the 6, 4 of the 6 had been operated on. I could not get up off of the gurney that I was on. I needed 2 people, no, 3, to help me get up. When I got home and got in bed, all I could think about was, oh no, if I cough, I'm dead. This is terrible. And I did not ask God for healing.
You just
said,
haven't, please don't let me cough.
Please don't let me. I didn't cough for a month.
Oh, wow, yeah.
What? I have allergies. I cough every day, and I'm reminded of it because my parrot coughs. Okay?
Really?
Yeah. He imitates my cough because he hears me cough every day.
Love it.
12 months out of the year, I cough every day because of my allergies. Okay? For 1 month, I didn't. That's all I prayed for. God, please don't let me cough.
And he delivered you.
I love it.
I rest my case.
That's good.
I love it.
Wow.
So he wants me to continue to read James. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to continue to read James chapter 1:3, which was a continuation that you were talking about. Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything. And if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do.
Help me with my unbelief is also on the Bible.
And when he's faith, when we're faithless, he's faithful.
So what is radical about James's approach to suffering? What is he saying here?
God is in
To
control.
embrace it.
God is in control.
To embrace it, really.
Right.
Because it's going to work something in you that's far beyond what you're suffering.
You know what I felt like in my own family? I don't know if your families are like this, but I think they were so always anxious and neurotic, and they would break down because they never thought it was okay that you should suffer, like you should have trials. Like if something went wrong, they blew it out of proportion. Like years ago, I don't know about your family, maybe yours, Roxanne, they didn't even say the word cancer. They said the C word or that disease.
They didn't even say it in my family at all.
Yeah, they wouldn't even say the word. And I know in my family, and they went through trials, and I'm not saying they didn't. They had some tragedies and things, but they went crazy. They couldn't handle it.
Well, that's fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
But I'm saying if you have the Lord, you could handle it.
That's right.
And they taught us that was abnormal, but you know what? It's normal. And I think that's what he's trying to teach you. This is normal. Every day you're going to have troubles and troubles.
Right.
It's when people think they're not going to have them, when they do come, it's like a wave that overtakes them that they can't, and that's what we were taught. I was taught that as a child, and I saw how all the family reacted, and your family's like that too.
Yeah,
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
Right?
Because the sense
Yeah.
of security meant no trouble.
Yes,
Sense of
yes.
security was
There's
no
no
trouble.
trouble.
Whereas
Yes.
our security
Yeah.
is in Him.
Do
Yeah.
you really think they didn't think they would have troubles or trials?
No, but they were overwhelmed by them. Like
Yeah,
they did. They
they
lost
knew it.
children. They
They-
had
yeah,
tragedies,
right.
but it overwhelmed them that they would have nervous breakdowns. That's what they
Well,
would
that's
do.
fear, I'm saying.
Well,
That's the
whatever it
spirit
was,
of fear.
They didn't say, well, this is just a trouble, God's
Yeah.
even if they were religious, that's how, our family's the same
My
way.
aunt's the
yeah.
same way. My
Oh my
aunt,
gosh,
my
that's
aunt has
fear.
lost
I'm
her
saying
daughter,
that's
her
just
husband,
fear.
They
her
learned
daughter-in-law,
That's fear.
and when she calls me about certain things,
Yeah, they're
that
overwhelmed.
they're overwhelmed, and it's
I
not
mean-
even. It's like I say to her, but do you realize what you went through, and you're upset over this?
Yeah.
I go, it's really nothing. I used to tell her, but it's the
that.
fear.
Yeah.
It's
And
the
when I
fear,
had to
yeah.
tell her
It's
that I had
fear.
cancer, you thought she got it.
Yeah,
The way she
that's
was
how they
acting.
would act.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
the
And
truth.
I had it, and that way was with my parents too. I had to tell them,
Yeah.
oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I had to like really be the parent when they were the child. And I had to be that way through my cancer because they couldn't handle it because they had so much fear. And also, and that was hard. Yeah. Yeah. And I would tell them they knew it was God. That's why.
Yeah. My mother would say, if you ever get terminally ill or something's wrong, just don't tell me. She actually said that to me.
I believe.
Do not tell me.
Yeah.
They knew they couldn't take it. And but in the word, this is what he's saying. Yeah, you can take it.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. And it's not abnormal. I think in my family we were taught this is abnormal to have all these troubles and things. And you can't really, I don't know, I just thought of that. But, and I know you understand.
Yeah, I understand. I know. 'Cause
The greatest call for us to do what God gave us in the first commission to do is everything that we're saying here for us, for us to have these teachings, for us to have these learnings, for us to have this, this study of Christ-like and what we are to do to minister to the world. Because the world is wounded.
Yeah.
If we don't be the great reflection to take and share into them on this here, how else? I was having a conversation when I was taking a friend to the airport earlier today, and she is working, having a foster young lady, and so she has some discouragement in some areas, right? And I said, how good is it for us to put in our perspectives to know that Christ was born with one person, and we have that same consideration that it could be one person that our life is supposed to be speaking to and what we are called to do in God's will. And if we don't use what we are mandated to do with the teachings and allowing our light to shine for God to see that, then what did Jesus say about the talents and whatnot there? Let's make that applicable too as well. If you don't use what God